Good afternoon. My name is Charles de Torres, and today I'll be talking to you about time management and how to be productive during downtime when you're working at a car dealership as an automotive sales consultant. To understand how to be productive during downtime, the first thing that we need to know or get a feel for is the day in the life of a sales consultant. Secondly, we have to make sure that we have a daily plan in an effort to make sure that we're prepared for success when the opportunity presents itself. So let's talk a little bit about the day in the life of an automotive salesperson. On the average, a salesperson is going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day working at the dealership. Shifts can vary from 8 to 12 to 10 hours a day, maybe even more sometimes. When you think about it, the average salesperson is only going to speak to two or three guests face to face on the daily average basis. Okay, give or take, depending on the market you're in, you may have more, you may have less. But on the average, it's going to be about two to three guests a day that they're going to be working with face to face that has showed up to the dealership to gather information. Now, so if you're working 8 to 12 hours, 8 to 10, 12 hours a day, you're only talking to two to three guests, you're going to have quite a bit of downtime, maybe 5 or 6 hours a day. So what you do during your downtime is just as important as what you're doing when you're busy assisting a guest. So just for training purposes, we're going to say that your schedule is 9 to 5. We all know that it's going to vary depending on the dealership needs and your guest needs, okay? Just for training purposes to illustrate how you can build your daily plan, we're going to say 9 to 5. So let's say my schedule is 9 to 5. If I wanted to take the initiative to start building my own leads and generating some activity, maybe what I can do is instead of once or twice a week, instead of coming in, at 9 o'clock or 10 minutes to 9 when I start, I'm going to come in at 8 a.m., maybe once or twice a week. And from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., what I can do is maybe go into the service area and just have conversations with guests, finding out what kind of situation they're in. Most of the time when somebody comes into the dealership and you get them interested in purchasing a car when they came in for service, the closing percentage for that is about 50%. So the idea here is if I could take maybe an hour once or twice a week going into the service area, just introducing myself and just having a discussion or a conversation with the guests that are in service, finding out what kind of situation they're in, there's a possibility that you might get a couple of leads. So we're going to start with our daily goal of being one car. One car a day is our daily goal. So if I come in an hour early once or twice a week from 8 to 9, while I work in the service area, my goal for that time slot is going to be one service lead. So now my daily goal becomes one car and one service lead. Okay. Now, from 9 to 10, usually we're going to be involved in some kind of meetings or trade walks. During that time of the meetings or the trade walks, you want to be prepared for that meeting. If your manager is going to ask you what happened with Sally's documentation, you want to be prepared to answer that question. But you want to prepare yourself the day before the last hour of your shift, and we're going to talk about it shortly. So from 9 to 10, I'm probably going to be busy in sales meetings or in trade walks, okay? Now, from 10 to 11, maybe what I can do is I'm going to spend that hour from 10 to 11 following up on all my unsold guests, all my unsold prospects. And my goal during that hour is to, at a minimum, set up 3 appointments. Okay. Now, let's say I do not have unsold guests because I'm new to the dealership. Maybe what I can do from 10 to 11 in that hour is attempt 10 cold calls or 10 prospecting calls. And literally, I can go into the CRM, find out who's been to the dealership within the last 30, 60, 90 days that have come in for service, and just calling them and introducing yourself. And it could sound something like this. Ring, ring, is Mr. Smith there? Hi, Mr. Smith. My name is Charles. I'm actually a new team member here at XYZ. I just wanted to give you a call to introduce myself. Did I reach you at a good time? Yes, Charles, how can I help you? Well, the reason for my call is that I came across your information in our system and I noticed that the last time you were here, it looks like you had a 2019 XYZ. Do you still have that vehicle? Yes, I do. Why? Is there anything wrong with it? No, there's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted to give you a call because this time of year, we are getting a lot of guests that are coming in. And what they are starting to look for is not necessarily a new car, but they're looking for something pre-owned that's a little bit more affordable. Something like yours in your year range, in your model, it's a very popular vehicle. Let me ask you this: when is the last time you had it appraised? I haven't had it appraised. Well, you know what? I'd love to set that up for you 100% free, no obligations. So at least when the time is right, you know what your options are. What's your schedule like the rest of today? And then go into scheduling the appointment. Think about it. If you make 10 of those calls a day, 5 days a week, that's 50 calls a week. 50 calls a week times 4 weeks, that's 200 calls a month. Do you really think the law of averages is going to allow you to make 200 cold calls like that and nothing happen? It's highly doubtful. Something's going to happen. Now it is a numbers game. You're going to hear no, 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 yes, no, 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 yes, but eventually you're going to hear the yeses. So I would be making at least 10 of those calls every day. So now when you go back to your daily goals, number one is to sell a car. Okay. Number two is this: identify a service lead that you can follow up with anytime. Number three is set up 3 appointments. Number four is make 10 cold calls. So now I got 4 goals that I could be working on a daily basis. Now, let's say from 11 to 12, what I do, instead of not having anything to do, I plan to follow up with all my sold guests. Okay. During that time from 11 to 12, my goal as I follow up with my sold guests is not only to make sure that I answer any questions that they have, remind them of the survey, but also try to secure a referral. So my goal from 10 to 11 is going to be to secure a referral from one of my sold guests. Okay. So now when we go back to our daily goals, it starts with 1 car, 1 service lead. Okay. 3 appointments, 10 cold calls, 1 referral. So now we're at 5. Okay. Let's say from 12 to 1, I'm going to be hungry. I want to eat something. So from 12 to 1, I'm going to plan to do that. But while I'm eating, maybe what I can do is jump online and take a virtual class or an online course on either product knowledge or sales training. So that way I could keep fresh with all the new trends that are going on in my market. So now my daily goal becomes 1 car, 1 service lead, 3 appointments, 10 cold calls, 1 referral, and half hour of online training. Now, let's say from 1 to 2, instead of not having anything planned, what I'm going to plan to do is I'm going to practice on my product knowledge. I'm kind of new to the dealership. I don't really know the cars in and out. I'm new to the industry. Maybe that's what I'm going to do from 1 to 2. But you want to be very specific when you're planning to do this. You don't want to just say, I'm going to do product knowledge tomorrow from 1 to 2. You want to be specific. I'm going to compare my Toyota Highlander to a Honda Pilot. And I'm gonna categorize the differences when it comes to safety, performance, appearance, comfort, economy, and durability. Okay, maybe that's what I'm going to do from 1 to 2. So far our daily goals become 1 service lead. Okay, 3 appointments, 10 cold calls, 1 referral, half hour of online training, and 1 hour of product knowledge training. All right. Now, from 2 to 3, maybe what I can do instead of not having anything planned is plan to work on my sales presentation. Maybe I can get with one of my managers or another team member and work on how to overcome objections. But again, you want to be specific. What kind of objections are you going to practice overcoming? It could be it's not enough for my trade, the price is too high, I need to think about it, etc. But you want to be specific when you're planning an activity. That way you don't have to do your research during the time of the activity. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow from 2 to 3 o'clock. Okay. So far my daily goal becomes 1 service lead, 3 appointments, 10 cold calls, 1 referral, half hour of online training, 1 hour of product knowledge training, and 1 hour of sales training. Now, maybe what I can do tomorrow from 3 to 4 is do all my housekeeping stuff. I got to follow up with Jeanette to find out if she has any of her documentation for the deal. I have to confirm my appointments. I have to get my cars ready for my appointments, etc. That's what I'll be doing. And then from 4 to 5, the last hour of my shift, that's when I'm going to be going into the CRM system and identifying 10 people that I'm going to be calling tomorrow during the time I have scheduled, which is from 10 to 11. So let's say you get busy, you start selling a car. Well, let's say you start selling a car at 10, you're not going to finish till 1. What happens at 1? Well, you pick up right where you left off at 10. You still have to set up 3 appointments. You still have to make those 10 cold calls. You still have to do your a half hour of online training. You still have to do your product knowledge training. You still have to do your sales training. Guess what happens to your schedule? You're slammed. So the idea is, class, you never want to drive around a car that's running out of gas. You probably want to just drive straight to the gas station. When you get to the dealership, you don't want to just show up to the store without having a plan. You want to have a plan so that way you can stay productive during downtime. That's all I got for today. That's my presentation. I know it's short. This session usually takes about an hour and a half, but I tried to condense it as much as I can because I know your time is important. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.